Hey guys, never shared this publicly on my Facebook page before. A lot of you guys know I grew up, I was born and raised Mormon. I did the mission, I served faithfully, I did the best that I could. And about 3 years ago, I decided in order to grow, I had to see what the world was like outside of the Mormon view. Now, let me explain this, and I want you to know, for my Mormon friends, most of my Facebook friends are Mormon. This isn't like a church bashing thing. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from and the story. I'm not going to get into church history and things like that in any depth. But I was sitting in Sunday school one day, and they were talking about the plan of salvation and the plan that the gospel spread and that people go to the temple and all the covenants, and it just kind of hit me like. And then they always end it, God is loving and whatever. What hit me is, God, this is a really strange plan. Here we are in the church. If you think active Mormons were like 0.025% of the world, maybe. And you are the father of all these children, yet your plan for joy on earth is not going to be basically heard by 99.975% of all of your children. That's just really weird. Now, in Mormonism, they say, well, there's a temple work and when you die, but I'm like, look, this is here and now. I think life is important. I think it's a mistake to always be living for some heavenly future. Like, I feel like, God, if life is important, let's have the good stuff now. And I had this, revelation in my own terms. I was like, well, gosh, maybe there's a point, maybe there's a purpose in life for everybody. Like, what could that be? What could be universal to people in India, to, people in Africa, people in Asia, people in the United States? And it hit me, and I was like, I actually think that if there's a purpose, it's here because we're here to learn and grow. It's not to believe in one set of dogma. Those things, religions can be helpful, hopefully, in our quest for growth. But I thought, what if God, it's just to learn and grow. Somebody in Africa who's, born rich in Africa can learn and grow. Somebody who's born in the slums and is really poor, they can, wherever they are, you can learn and grow. You can better your family. You can better your situation. If you're rich, you can always take it to the next level. If you're given a lot of opportunity, you can take it to the next level. And it seemed like, oh, now a purpose would have to work for all people in all times and all places. Now, you think, in Mormonism, they talk about the apostasy, and it's like, well, for most of mankind, most humans have not have access to the teachings of Christ. And so, and to Mormonism specifically, and it's just weird, God, that you'd have this plan that pretty much nobody has actually heard of and can benefit from in the here and now. But growth, if the purpose of life is to grow, to have experience, to learn, to put a little light into the world, everybody at any time and any place could have that experience. What if it's a lot more simple than we're trying to make it? What if the experience is to learn or grow? So that was I had this while I was pondering this lesson at Sunday school, and I was like, that makes sense to me. I can get behind that. And so I had this other experience where it was like every other Sunday you'd have this mom, usually middle-aged, who already has older kids, and she'd be all distraught because her child doesn't want to go to church and doesn't believe in the gospel. And it was weird. I was reflecting on it, and I was like, I actually don't care if my children believe in the dogma of Mormonism and all these things. I don't know right now. It seemed like to convince them that Joseph Smith was a prophet. But I do. All I care is that they be growers and givers. I would rather have them not be Mormon and be on a path of growth and of love and learning and using their talents than to be in the church and think they have it all and not be learning and growing. And that was it was this huge weight off my shoulders of like, it's not my responsibility to force my kids to believe stuff or to indoctrinate them. Another thing that came along was, in church, it always made me really uncomfortable, this idea of having children bear testimony, that the kids would get up and, I know Joseph Smith was a prophet, and also the use of know instead of believe. It's like in church, we almost don't use believe. Everything's no. I know this, I know that. It's okay, people, just to believe stuff. You don't have to pretend you know stuff. It's okay to believe in the Book of Mormon or to believe in Jesus Christ or to believe in God. But when we're telling our, these little 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8-year-olds to stand up and say they know stuff that I'm pretty certain that they do not know, it was just like, why do we lying in the name of God? Well, it was just so weird. And it made me really uncomfortable. The Follow the Prophet song, Follow the Prophet. I don't like indoctrinating young children into these very specific, dogma and these beliefs. And I understand why the church does it. Most of its growth is coming from children born into the church. And so it's like this indoctrination program to keep it going. From a business perspective, I understand it. It makes sense. But from my heart perspective of what's good for humans, I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. So this led me to a decision that I felt for years, for about 7 years, maybe not that, maybe 5 years, I just felt stuck. I felt like a zombie, and I was trying to live all this stuff, and it's just something was not right. And I came to this conclusion after my growth, in this growth journey, that for me, in order to grow, it comes from experience. They say, beliefs are poor substitutes for experience. And I realized, and I felt in my heart, I need to get out of the church and see the world as an outsider, because it's weird. When given the option, most human beings reject Mormonism. Now, I knew at that time as a Mormon, there's nothing wrong with Mormonism. It's the people who are wrong. Mormonism is a standard of truth. If you don't accept it, there's something wrong with your heart. You're not good with God. You need to change and adapt to believe in Mormonism. That was my view. And that's how, if you're really true believing, that's kind of the view you have to adopt. It is the one and only true church according to Mormonism. And I realized this belief, causes you to make everybody else in the world wrong. I knew that my brothers and sisters, there's 9 kids in my family, 3 of us were active. I knew that those 6 who didn't accept Mormonism, I knew there was something wrong with them. I knew it. There was something wrong with them, because it wasn't the obviously the church. It was them. Sorry, checking my mic there. So these things kind of came together, and it wasn't so much at that point all the doctrinal stuff and the rock in the hat that was used to produce the Book of Mormon and the problems with DNA. It wasn't all of that other stuff. It was mostly just I felt stuck and I wanted to grow. And it's been eye-opening now. It's been 3 years getting outside and looking at the world from another perspective. I don't care if look, my opinion is truth is going to stand the test of, you need to beat up truth and see if it still stands. And that's kind of what I've done. And it's putting it to the test. And if you really have faith in Mormonism, honestly, I'd say take a break from it a little bit and try it. You'll understand the world in a completely new way. I know what it's like to be inside. I know what it's like to be on the outside. So, what does this, where am I now? I have never talked again publicly about this on Facebook. I've talked with friends and things. I just, at the time when I left, I wasn't certain of my decision. It's like, I don't want people to, not be my friends and listen to me anymore and think that I'm bad. I'm testing the stuff. I'm all about experimenting and finding out what works. So I on the outside now looking in, it takes a while to get all that wiring out. But I enjoy life so much more. And there's so much cool stuff, cool teachings. If you're into personal growth and development, there's so many people who've dedicated their lives to how to help people and to, transform their views of the world. And I am enjoying life way more on the outside. Now that's just me. I can't tell you what to do with your life. And for me, it wasn't working. I'm not a black and white thinker. I think there's a lot of good in Mormonism. And for somebody, at a certain stage in their life, it could be a great step forward. It could be a higher level of values than, let's say you're into drugs and alcohol and you're lost and you don't have any guidance. It could be a great step forward. Now, I always want to take it to the next level. And just because it took you to one level doesn't mean it can take you to the next level of life. And that's what I've felt. It's took me to level. I'm thankful for my mission. I'm thankful for the leaders. There's a lot of good, but I've found that all that good, all the things I loved. I loved, this idea of kind of eternal progress and growth, and I liked community. This idea of divine love. I like all this stuff. All that good stuff is found on the outside world through mainstream, either Christianity or spirituality. You can get all that good stuff there. Now, there are some things unique to Mormonism, temples and priesthood. And look, people do faith healings in and out of the church. That's a whole other conversation, but you have to just go explore. I decided to speak out as I watched General Conference, a session. I watched Elder Nelson's talk. And guys, I know inside you can't see this. It disturbed me. Using this constant threat, this was the theme, threatening people that they're going to be separated from their families through all eternity if they don't do the Mormon thing. Using fear as this leverage to try to get people to obey and stick with it and pay tithing. Especially, look, an adult, it's fine. But when you're telling this to young children, for me, this is mental abuse. Trying to put this fear, young people are so impressionable, and telling them that the most primal fear and the most primal desire is to be with our family, and using this as a way to manipulate people into going to your church and telling them, and it's never said as a threat, it's always said with the nice, God has given us a way to be with our families forever, but remember, you need to keep all the covenants. Well, first of all, thanks God, 99.975% of the people don't know about this, and then they'll say, well, the temples. It's like, well, then what's the point if it's all just going to be done? We know there's a here and now, and life is now, and life is to be enjoyed. And if you're not enjoying your life now, you can make changes now. Just living for the future and suffering through it so that there might have some pleasure on the other side. No, you can have it all. You can have joy and fulfillment and experience and adventure now. And if there's an afterlife, you can have it there, I suppose. So I can't just sit by and hear this is the man who's supposed to be the pinnacle of what men are made for. He is God's mouthpiece. And God, this is what you have to say? You're going to threaten people? Like, too many martyrs and too many people have sacrificed their lives and too many to get away from that medieval, way of just threatening people with hell and hellfire. Like, I'm offended and I refuse to be threatened, and I refuse to sit by and let you threaten young, impressionable minds that they're going to be separated from their families forever. I don't care how you pretend that it's with love. It's not with love that you're doing it. So here's the reason why. Look, the biggest thing is we will feel and act according to how we believe the world is. So we are very much used by our beliefs, and if you're not conscious of your beliefs, they will control you. I have a friend recently who's left the church, and in his parents' mind, they've lost their little boy. And of course they're all stressed out. It creates all this needless suffering. All he's decided, he wants to take a different path of growth, and he's decided he can't buy into this stuff, and it creates, it's all fun and game and love in the church until somebody decides that they don't want this. And imagine in their parents' mind, they actually believe they've lost their little boy because he's rejected. He doesn't believe in the Book of Mormon, and it doesn't matter. He, wants to do good and wants to help people have better lives. But in their minds, it's lost. It's like, we're not going to be together forever. And the church, and I've seen this over and over. One friend was doubting it. Her husband just left. Like, nope, we're not going to have an eternal family. This is over. Guys, and it's how they're acting is completely rational if they actually believe that their life is about this eternal family and that this person is getting in the way. I have seen it time and time again. I can't say that the gospel brings families together because the experience is when, like me judging my family, when you have this belief that other people have to believe like you or that there's something wrong with them, it's going to mess stuff up. And objectively, it creates suffering when you give people this belief system. There's a lot more to be said about that, and that's my feeling now. And so I just wanted to speak up, and I know people are going to unfriend me, and people aren't, going to like this. And it's, if your faith can't stand a little criticism, it's not worthy it's not worthy of staying with you. You know, there's all these quotes about we have nothing to hide in the church and on the truth. Well, at the same time, I see people unfriending people because they decide to leave the church, and not doing business with people because they decide to leave the church. Just because you leave the church doesn't mean you're a bad person. Some people value reason, and they value history and science. And it's very telling that the growth of the church slows in proportion to the amount of information, truthful, accurate history we have about the church. I'm not cool. It's not cool with me that I was a missionary defending this and preaching when I didn't even know Joseph Smith was a polygamist, that he had 40, at least 40 women he was courting, and Emma didn't even know about them, that Emma was like the 22nd sealed wife. This was all done in hiding, occultly. Guys, I can't stand by that. The one was 15. It's important for people to know this. It does matter. Your feelings can't change history. And here's the other thing. Feelings are great. You need feelings. They're not great indicators of truth. I read the Book of Mormon, certain passages, I like them. They inspire me. Doesn't mean it's true. I go and see a movie, it inspires me. I feel the spirit. I don't believe it's a true movie. The relationship to feelings is not for truth. It's a sign that it can be helpful in your life. So there's a lot of things here, but I'm not cool that it's not cool to go, and I was in Mexico telling these people that they were Lamanites. Well, now the latest things, we don't actually know who the Lamanites are. And I'm like, well, the Book of Mormon, the purpose of it is to convert the Lamanites. And we don't even know who they are anymore. It's not the Mexican people. I was there telling them that Jesus Christ came to their ancestors, and now that was just a lie. I went them showing them pictures of Joseph Smith, looking at the brass plates, and that didn't happen. He was just looking at a peepstone and a hat. You can say that's not important. Truth is important to me. I hope it's important to you too. So if you haven't gone and looked at the history, I said earlier, and I'm not going to get into too much of this. This is stuff most members should know because it's on the church website. It's kind of hidden in the gospel topics essays. But it's more of what it psychologically does to people, to teach them that they're bad, to teach them that they're going to be separated by their families if they don't obey and bow down. If you're going to make these types of claims, and it's not like I go see public speakers and they're going, it's like, look, this is my experience. This is helpful and take it or leave it. In conference, this is the word of God. This is God's prophet, and it's interpreted that what they say is true and accurate, and they've put themselves on this pedestal. And if you're going to make these claims about people's salvation, you better back that up with some miracles or some evidence or some actual prophecies. And because this is serious stuff we're talking about. It's not just talking about making your life better. You're talking about people's eternal salvation, if such a thing even exists. So I'm a little passionate about this because as an outsider looking in, when I look at this, it disgusts me, the type of mental manipulation. Look, if you're on the fence, if you want to message me or something, that's great. If you have any questions, there's a lot more, to the story. And again, I'm passionate about this because I haven't talked about it for years, and it's just after seeing some of that stuff, I just need to take a stand and be like, look, this isn't cool. The way you're talking to people, nobody deserves to be threatened that they're going to be separated from their family forever. God, if that's your plan, I don't want anything to do with you. If that's really your plan, you're going to take some of your children and cast them out. Why would I want to have anything to do with a being like that? Fortunately, that's not God. I promise you, that is not God. That is not God's plan. That is not God's plan. And, somebody's calling me. So, that's my wife. I leave this on a note. I believe life is about growth. I am just here. If I can help you grow in any way, and if Mormonism's your path of growth right now, great, embrace it. But try to discern these beliefs that are damaging. And you don't have to embrace all of it. It's not all or nothing. You can take the good and leave the bad. Learn to trust your heart. Take in a ton of information. And that is the scientific revolution, is take other people's information, learn the history, learn everything you can, take it in so you can be educated. Information is fantastic. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is wonderful. And again, I'm dedicated to a life of growth, to helping people, growing my taking care of my family. And again, I love you guys. I'm trying to, right now, I'm focusing a lot on just being authentic and growing my heart and feeling connected with people. And just some words. These are my thoughts. I'm not going to take it back. I'm not going to hide behind it. This is the reality for me. So love you guys. And hopefully we can be talking soon. And hopefully you don't unfriendly. And hopefully this just can give you another perspective on somebody's life.